Hi guys, hello people. We're back with the story of the beast here in the second book of Mago. And so the story of the beast, it came to me in Naples. This whole thing, so after I finished the first book of Mago, I went to Naples in Italy for some unknown reason, really. It was kind of fated, one could say, for me to go there. I had some things to work out, I guess, in myself, some things to settle in myself, in my own story, in my own private legend. And I'm sure many of you know the feeling when you have to go, you have to go. And so I went to Naples, and I thought it was going to be a certain way, and then it wasn't that way at all. And I got really depressed after a month, and like really super down. And part of that wasn't just that my expectations weren't met, but also the fact that I started feeling more and more the negativity of that place because of historical events and because of the history that I went into, the Renaissance story, as you might remember from Mago 1, in which the medieval beast, who is the Mona Lisa, painted by Leonardo, was actually the daughter of the king of Naples, Don Ferrante, who was a usurper, like illegitimate psycho that ruled Naples like a godfather. And his daughter became the wife of the Hungarian king, the great Renaissance king, Matthias. And then, since she was an enemy, a spy and an agent of the Habsburg emperor, as you might remember. And then she became the assassin of the king, and this is the story and the historical crime which was coded by Leonardo in the painting of the Mona Lisa. And I have Saint Maradona here to protect me, because the figure that we need to tackle, and I've been procrastinating, but I have to get over this, the figure of Abraham, and the figure of Sargon, two pretty terrifying, powerful and terrifying figures across the age, who surprisingly merge into one. And this is what happened to me in Naples. This was the kind of the point in my story, that I was really down last year, this time, midwinter, and somehow I crawled through it, like days and days of darkness, inner, outer darkness, and I crawled through it. And I guess in that dark tunnel, I suddenly had this realization as I was observing the story, and I was actually I worked my way. It's, work therapy. And for me, writing these books and stories and researching, I guess it's kind of a therapy besides many other things. It's also my life mission to do this work. Even without any feedback or any kind of success. But as we already said, what is success? Anyway, so I was researching, looking into the story, and thinking and going into the depths of the story of Naples, and also my own psyche and my father complex, I guess, and thinking about patriarchy and the arch patriarch of this system, who was Abraham. And then I'm looking at these two pictures, two portraits basically. One of Abraham, who's a key coup figure, and the other Sargon of Akkad, as they call him, the first tyrant king of history. And then in Naples a year ago, I suddenly realized that actually what these guys did is one and the same thing, only two sides of the same coin were forged, literally, by these two figures. The religious and social and linguistic coup by Abraham, and the military and political coup by Sargon of Akkad. And what they brought on was these insanely vicious, aggressive, and deceptive patriarchal systems. And so one is the social and religious, like look at what Abraham did, as you can read in your religious or our religious books. What he did, he established a patriarchy based on an exclusively male divinity, a he-god, exclusively he-god. And in society, and through the religious dogma, what happened was women were subdued to secondary citizen status, second-class citizens, and even worse, you're punished for being a woman in the Abrahamic system. I mean, face it, admit it, women are subjugated to secondary citizenship, secondary role, and even punished and treated like dogs and unclean, whereas the feminine is at least as divine as the masculine. The feminine is the source, the feminine carries the source. So patriarchy, by killing the feminine, Abraham and Sargon, by killing the feminine and the female goddess and the female feminine power and say in politics. This is the main thing. Women were excluded from politics. And having a say in matters, in a real say in matters, women were pushed out. And systematically through the language hack, as we've already observed previously. So where was I? Abraham, the blood on his hands comes from the religious and social coup, which is primary. And then on the other side, as these two faces are actually divided in a very cunning way, since Abraham is invisible, he's a legendary figure, but Sargon is historical. But they did the exact same thing at exactly the same time. Although time is meddled with, historical panels are shifted, and it's like a film set, mirage, so you don't know who's who and what's what. But actually, Abraham and Sargon, the two first kind of bad guys of history, are one and the same. And no offense, please, no offense. And I'm sure this touches on many sensitivities, because Abraham is considered the good father, but actually no, we have memory and the original patterning of a good father, but Abraham is not a good father. This figure that we worship, that created these like that was the father of patriarchy, we cannot worship. It's not a good system. It's not a good system. So the man who built the not a good system is obviously not a good guy. Okay, so I need to read from the book that has not been published yet, but it's on my laptop. So the revelation that I had in Naples, and I hope that I can be grateful to this city for this revelation one day. And, you know, maybe we can achieve victory like Holy Maradona brought victory to the humiliated, to the underdog, and this is what I'm fighting for too. This is what we're here for, to fight for the underdog's right to party. You know what I mean? To like have a say. You know, let women have a say in politics, and you'll see that wars will end from one day to the next. And hopefully also all sorts of injustice with women re-entering politics with a feminine sensitivity, sensibility, feminine intelligence, to re-enter politics. You know, and I don't mean puppets, like feminine puppets of patriarchy. No, thank you. We need a real system change. That begins with taking gender out of language, and only then shall we see. So, chapter 1, the first Semitic godfather, Abraham, veiled in a cloud of mystery, but with very definite influence. Within this chapter, number 1, Semitic social and religious descent. So the Semitic we've already mentioned, based on the Semitic language program, which is radically broken by the gender. Which, of course, obviously, the gender break reflects also a break in mentality. Right? So Semitic social and religious descent, schism and coup, overthrowing and subordinating the feminine. This is the part of the first stage of the great fall of mankind. Enter Abraham. Your perception of God is a reflection of you, the author says. Abraham can be found in the depths of our collective unconscious. It is this field which has given birth and time-space to the golem of our destructive and self-destructive paradigm, colonial patriarchy. And then, oh my God, this is really a bad idea to show the screen. Anyway, images of Abraham about to sacrifice his son, half naked. I mean, it's like, it's a sick thing. Holy moly. This negative fusion between Abraham and Isaac, the dad about to kill his son based on some phantasmagorical request from God. Yeah, like what is going on there? The negative fusion, this one, molds a paradigm of killer victim. So this is the beginning of the killer victim paradigm. Of course, one could say that it already began with Cain killing Abel, but actually this is the first system that is set in stone, that is set in black books and political systems where this really surfaces and is set in stone. And this is why this killer paradigm, a killer victim paradigm, goes so deep even in our relationships. I mean, this is what the narcissistic phenomenon is about. This is the, egotism and criminality. I mean, it all begins here. When a forefather, when a godfather, basically, of a system, is himself a murderer and a psycho, then what do you expect? What do you expect of the system? What do you expect of the creatures of this system? So, in view of all the horrors that have been accompanying this fundamentally deranged paradigm of patriarchy, such as regular, customary, and ritualistic rape, torture, and murder, especially of innocent children, and feeding rape, torture, and murder to the masses, right? Through the BS industry, etc. We must necessarily find and face the suspicion that Abraham, figurehead of the great beast, was himself a rapist and a murderer, a psychopath, in truth. A very cunning and ruthless, sick, evil bastard. Father of the 3 biggest religions and more. Father of our entire civilization based on violence and pretense. Woo! Okay, pictures I will show you, but you will not really see. Okay, 2 humble wives before a strict and unkind, intimidating and threatening and thoroughly unjust Abraham. Woo. Seemingly only one of them, but in truth both are mistreated, abused, humiliated, and disowned. And then in another picture, Abraham and Sarah are scheming. Very nice. The land that this guy is about to occupy is the wondrous, mysterious, fertile source land of Samaria, entirely omitted from all scriptures and history books afterwards. Just like Lilith, the figure of Lilith. The place and character, reminder of original happiness and unity. So Samaria was omitted. The pattern henceforth is disrespect for the source. Anger and jealousy, dissent and discontent. Okay, the diseased paradigm is spreading. It spreads like a disease. Actually, it looks like Samaria looks like female, like genital part, and then the disease of Semitism is like venereal disease. Oh my God. And indeed, I mean, the program, this is the point, that the program itself is a virus program. The linguistic Semitic program is a virus program. So it is a disease. Psychological descent from the source and from the law of life. Yeah. Negative fusion mold of Abraham killing or ready to kill, which is in a way the same thing. His child programs and sets the abnormal paradigm of killer versus victim, one against and over the other. Yes, we have already said this. The coup of Abraham is that he leaves the Sumerian city of Ur. This is well known. Leaving the Sumerian city of Ur is obviously, at least partially, a symbolic act. The city of Ur represents not only the whole of Samaria, so Abraham is a dissenter from the Sumerian tradition. But what Ur means, and I already spoke about this when we were talking about the king and kingdom and what it means in the Hungarian language. It's Ur, just like the same as the Sumerian city-state of Ur, which Abraham left. Ur in Magyar, which is at least similar, but it's very closely related to Sumerian. Not only in its language system, but also many words and a lot of mythology and folk tradition overlaps to a great, great, great extent from the cylinder seals, the famous cylinder seals of Sumeria, which can really only be solved, these enigmas, these riddles, by and through the current Hungarian language. And even the word Magyar, mag, seed, is the same as Sumerian, because Sumer, Sem Ur, Sem again is the seed, the eye. So Sumerian and Hungarian are both cultures, languages, and traditions of the seed. So anyway, Abraham comes out of the city of Ur. It means a descent from Sumeria, and it means a descent from God, because the ultimate Ur, the ultimate Lord, the ultimate King is God. So while Abraham is saying that he, or we think that he established the first monotheism, and he enthroned God, the single God, he he actually left the original, the real Ur, the real God. Because we will see there's a lot of aspects to this, but just to say one, that the mag, the seed, contains the Trinity of creation, and it of course also contains, and this also means, the Trinity of God, the Trinity within God. And in this we have seen, and we can clearly see, if we go into the details, that the seed also means the Trinity of God, which is Mother, Father, Child, soul, mind, body, energy, information, structure, starting from inside, yeah? Soul, mind, body, energy, information, matter, mother, father, child, and this is reflected in the personal pronoun system of én, te, ő, a, mi, you, I, you, he, she, it. It's analogous in Hungarian én, te, ő with anya, atya, ifjú, which is the mother, father, child. So actually, all of this is set not in stone but in seed. All of this we can read clearly from the organic model of the seed. So this mother, father, child, Holy Trinity, immanent in the seed, was obviously hacked and broken and forged and twisted by the Abrahamic, the new Abrahamic world order 4,000 years ago, when he introduced a solely and singly and exclusively male God. So, yeah, racial coup. Before even the social domestic patriarchal coup, there must be a racial coup. The Jews against the Sumerian Empire. I mean, Jews, quote unquote. The original system, the good system that is Ur, which Abraham left. Okay, so there is a racial coup. Then we must also look into the domestic ordeal. What happened between Papa and Mama? That Papa annihilated Mama. The Papas overthrow the Mamas. Figuratively, or who knows, maybe even in reality. So often in the millennia to come, a gang of men come up against women, rape them, kill some of them, the rest they enslave. Few they spare to keep them amused. Women became inferior, second class, pushed out of religion and politics, domestic and governmental power. Other tribes and races became second class too, and the world became an arbitrarily, forcefully, unjustly, and incorrectly set hierarchy. The caste system was carved into stone. Money or no money, that is the question. Dependency, exploitation, parasitism, religion was reformed. The Mama God was eliminated. The common ancient vital cult of the goddess was eliminated. Statues, feasts, names of the goddess were eliminated. Theologically, men shot themselves in the foot. Okay, say no more. What happened? Linguistic gender, he, she, clear distinction. Men and women are from now evaluated differently. Men superior, women inferior, clearly. Then, and clearly also, every time you talk about God, mention, refer to, or think of God, God is a he. He became a he. Look, just look in all the books, holy and unholy. Look in your own head. God, he loves you, etc. He grants us peace, but he doesn't grant us peace because the she is lost. Whereas in truth, only she, the she part of God, will grant us peace. She loves us. She is the love and mercy of God. Okay. Say no more, say no more. Malnutrition. Our own spiritual malnutrition, thanks to patriarchy. Conscious and methodical forgery of God. Sumerian Enlil transformed then El in Babylon. They say Paleo-Hebrew, I would say Proto-Hebrew, Ugaritic, Hittite, Canaanite, and Aramaic religions. Okay, El is then turned into Yahweh. Okay. And Allah clearly comes from this source as well. Al. And here we have to refer to the wonderful Hungarian or Magyar seed language, in which we have a radix El. Actually, it's El, which is a perfect radix with the fusion of a verb and a noun. And the verb él, to él, élni, means to live. So él means live, lives. As a verb. As a noun, however, él, the edge, it's the edge, like of a knife, which is the other meaning. So to live and edge are fused. How wonderful, how insane, how amazingly poetic, no? And how metaphysical and how deep it cuts. The verb and noun fusion in the word, the ancient radix or seed word. It's like a seed. El. And Elu is the living one. Like you can even hear Allah as Elu, and you can transliterate it. You translate it as the living one, and also Ö is the Elu. He lives, but it's not he, and neither she, and definitely not it. Ö is the personal pronoun which fuses he and she and it, and it's beyond a single he or a single she or a single it. So is the third person that we're missing from our language. The word for God as the third person in our life, beyond the me and the you, the I and the you. There's who is always present, the omnipresent God, and we don't even have a word for it. Him, her. See, we don't have a word for So Ele is the living one. Okay. Bad human nature turning into a conscious evil force unleashed out for a total kill. Demonic God, demonic churches. Yay. A global human system, the paradigm itself is hacked. Actually, exactly, methodically, in and by the mug, the seed. Breaking the mug, the seed. Then you have pictures of fully patriarchal the three monotheistic religions stemming from good Abraham, a worldview and order atrociously hacked from organic, natural, balanced into arbitrary, forced, and completely out of joint. Patriarchy, a system built on two pillars, sexism and racism. So our entire paradigm was and is built on these two false pillars: masculine and Semitic superiority, self-appointed chosenness, aggressive self-righteousness, rational and physical material superiority, discovery and full exploration of the time, space, weight, and power of physical reality over the metaphysical, of pretense over the naked truth of the soul. Okay. Further images of Abrahamic sexism, classism, racism, the use, misuse, and abuse of original magical symbolism and cult, which will feature all along the steep career of the Semitic patriarchal coup, is foreshadowed here in the very act of taking the name Semitic, while in truth violating the STEM, the core program. Events that took place and were thus coded into the collective psyche of the dissenting race and further coded into all other tribes and races contaminated are the betrayal of the covenant, the destruction of the temple, and abuse and murder. Lovely. In our historical era, these acts were committed and coded by one single demon with two faces, Abraham Sargon. Yeah. Okay, deathless goddess, virgin mother, pure source of your life, your soul. Okay, she was obviously obliterated by the Semitic coup. The Abrahamic coup is actually anti-magical, literally anti-Semitic. Semitic is a manipulated language and narrative, a forged history and religion, a parasitic and abusive social order and monetary system, a fully patriarchal, militant, colonial, imperialistic mechanism, constant dividing, subordinating, scheming, using, and constant war to rule. Patriarchal Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Trinity. Ha ha ha. The good tradition of Eurasian cooperation and kinship, okay, as opposed to this good tradition, this other bad tradition also took root. So what is the bad tradition? Who is the enemy? A dark cloud over the minds of men, secret, deep, dark state. Okay, so secret, deep, dark state. Secret, deep, dark state. Beginnings of this conspiracy could be traced back hundreds and even thousands of years to the father of liars, who, as I have already suggested, is Abraham, the schismatic who drew an impossible line between Abrahamic and not Abrahamic, man and woman, man and God. This is the great schism, patriarchy. But for how much longer? The Akkadian Empire, said and admitted to be Semitic, was the first to be founded on killing, stealing, and lying. War, genocide, expansion, money, patriarchy, usurped human and natural resources, classes, races, usurped female sex. hardcore materialism, monstrous systems of deception, exploitation, and repression. Akkadian, Assyrian, Persian, Athenian, Roman empires, the Islamic Empire, the Holy Roman Empire of Europe, and the Vatican. And, of course, behind all of this is the invisible Talmudic Empire. And the USA, Europe, Russia, and China, and the rest. Monster states, beasts of the greater beast. The entire paradigm of division and subordination. They are all different forms of the same darkness, the same misprogrammed system. So it's one, yeah, right? It's one, ultimately. This seed-broken patriarchal colonial paradigm. Descent from the original and common Mago program, devolution has happened, schism, the secret historical war between the children of light and the children of darkness, as Gnostic texts refer to it. It is more a war of language programs. The broken program eating up, devastating, and degenerating the organic program, breaking the human contact and compatibility with oneself and the universe. Let me just show you here. It's very simple to see how much it's like a war between one versus the other in Mago 1, in King, Priest, Girl, Beast. We can observe the full, clear war between ultimately two programs, one a holistic one and the other a broken one. And the king and the priest obviously belonged and were keepers of this holistic one, the Magyar tradition, which is the seed, the tradition, and the Mona Lisa, who's the beast, was an agent of this seed-breaking program and paradigm, which was violently expansivist, expanding, expansionist already 500 years ago. And then we go back, Sumeria, Queen, Priest, Boy, Beast, which is Mago 2, which we're deep in this book right now, right? This is the guy we're talking about. And yeah, the Magyar language that I already said, like én, te, ő, is it relates perfectly to Anya, Atya, Ifyu, which is the Holy Trinity, the original Holy Trinity of Mother, Father, Child. And that's why it's really essential to go back to the original pattern of personal pronouns, and that's the original coding of the Holy Trinity, which is by no means, by the way, a Christian notion, the Holy Trinity. It's in all ancient religions and all consciousness that God in its unity has an inner structure, and the fact that God created mankind, woman, why not womankind? Man, womankind, humanity, humanity, you know. Why not? Where is the woman from all of these words? Where are our words, our inclusive, holistic, and balanced words? So, Jesus, where were we? And then the break happens, right? So the Trinity, which is by no means Christian. The Holy Trinity is actually our operative system. It's the operative system of the entire universe. That's why it's universe, because it's operated by the same code. And you can call that God, you can call that, the seed model, but it's the law. This is why I've been calling it the law, because it's the law on every level, every scale. And it's so simple. I mean, this is how you can recognize a law, that it's just super simple. I mean, this is the law. This is the law, the mug, the seed, an apple seed, an atom, the sun. This is the law. It's so simple. This Trinity. And then the break happens, as in the Akkadian, and in the Hebrew and the Arab, you see language broken by gender. Ata, at is the you, and hu, he is the he, she, and thus our systems break. In my next big book, and we're gonna go into that, how in Hell's Bells, yeah, that's that comes after the Sumerian age of like the elimination of the Sumerian past and building up the new empires, new patriarchal empires such as the Assyrian and Persian and etc., protruding into Europe, and then the appearance of the Indo-European languages. With the wave of military occupation and stuff, etc., come the Indo-European languages with the Sanskrit. So you see, it's really like it's a battle, it's a war along the ages between a broken paradigm and colonial empires basing their rule on this structure. I mean, English language. The English language broken was originally not broken because, our ancestors, your ancestors, our ancestors did not have this in language. It was forced onto us by these systems. And then in the fourth book of Mago, the One, many interesting, exciting topics. And there you see again the Arabic. I mean, sorry to say, guys, girls, think about it, what the gender means in your language and the damage it's doing, and then, thinking about the return to the original holistic pattern. So it is like very, very binary. No other way to see this. It's very black and white, whether your language is seed-based or not. So, children of light and darkness, that's why I showed you the models, war of language programs. Yes, spectacular separation between dark and light in history and politics among people. When the Samsonian hair of the initially captivated, abused Semitic women grows out, hey, hello, captivated, abused Semitic women, when our hair grows out, we will shake the pillars of the patriarchal establishment. The goddess so long slain, buried, will rise. The question is she furious? Let's hope not. Initially and ultimately, it is a domestic coup. Okay. Number 2, chapter 2 in this is discursive dissent, narrative coup. Discursive dissent, schism, and coup. So in discourse, you have a dissent, a schism, and a coup. The way you talk about things and events and phenomena and people. There was a dissent, schism, and coup from the truth, right? Very simple. Narrative coup by, and particularly concerning, Abraham. Ancient Hollywood, how to make the bad look good, even great and heroic, how to make believe. In Hungarian we have this really nice word, parasztvakítás, blinding the peasant. That is us, the audience. Gimmick, right? Good cause and divine calling, how to hide and erase stuff. Point 1, the first narrative lie is Abraham's story. Whatever the reality content of the biblical and Quranic story, the point is false. Abraham was most definitely not called on his mission by God, the one benevolent, conscious and living, giving source and totality of life. If you see the effect of this work, and you know a tree from its fruit, Abraham's tree has brought the fruit of injustice, terror, fear, and pain. His rule and his now 4,000-year-old mafia has brought about the opposite of God, the great beast, the deep state, one malevolent, scheming source of worldly power, degenerate, parasitic source, and totality of rule. Yeah, hardcore. What am I showing you, geez? Yeah, just the imagery of who we're talking about. Saruman, the dissenter Mago. Yeah, so in our favorite fantasy stories, we see archetypal evil guys who sometimes were, good magicians first, and then for some egotistical reason, they became dark, and actually, like, through and by the ego, one becomes dark and the manipulator of the forces, which should be not manipulated, but used well. So Abraham and angels, kind of looking like Saruman, the dissenter Mago. Abraham, 3 angels. Who did Abraham really see, welcome, and cooperate with? Angels or demons? Ooh, okay. Loss of third eye vision and substituting it with forged and forced power. You see, that's what we're talking about. Saruman is the dissenter magician in the truth and reality-based fantasy Lord of the Rings. What is Sauron? The source evil spirit who dwells in and operates from the all-seeing eye. Okay, the evil eye, Semitic tradition, selfishness. Egomania is the name of the game, the misinterpretation of the Ein gene, entheogen, and I, you, he, she, it program of creation. The entire movement is thus based on ignorance. Okay, I will not read further, it's too funny. Point 2, the first plagiarization is also related to Abraham. First plagiarization, okay. The 2 wizards resemble the Sumerian mage versus the Semitic black magician. Okay. Parallel to the growing divide, there is conscious and methodical forgery of story and history. Abraham forged the first story to become a long lineage and tradition of forged history and forged narrative. Lying, the psychology of lying, a dark shadow on his conscience, deep trauma, pain, fear, hate, crime, guilt that will resonate through millennia to come. 3 key books, fundamentally manipulated and manipulative, as we shall see. Say no more. Roman invaders looted, robbed, then mimicked, and finally annihilated, crushed the original inhabitants and their high culture, even its memory. Okay, this comes after the thought, what happened here between the invaders and the invaded, Semitic and Sumerian, is exactly the same as what happened in Italy, right? The Roman invaders crushed the original inhabitants, even its memory. Yeah, so this is actually a returning story. So with the Canaanites, Etruscans, Native Americans, Africans, Indians, Australian Aborigines, Hungarians, and so on, to this day, everywhere. Right. So Abraham coming out of the city of Ur. Bloody and deceitful Semitic coup against Samaria. Okay, then in Mago comes the linguistic coup, which is already the content of our previous little session. And now comes chapter 2, big chapter 2, the terrible King Sargon with his great political coup. And here I will not go any further into looking into the eyes of King Sargon. Let's continue in the next episode. For now, it's just enough to think of Abraham as much as we know about him so far, and then there will be more to come. So let's just digest what Abraham did, what he is, and the bad patterns that we carry in ourselves, and how they're all connected. And it's not about the blame. It's never about the blame. It's about the healing. I think humanity really has to step on the path of healing, self-healing. Nobody's going to do it for us. We need to heal ourselves, and that healing has to start where the ills, where the illness began. So we need to go back to this figure, Abraham, and understand what he stands for and what he did. And of course then actually we can go beyond and say, this whole thing, this whole really bloody and sad ordeal that's patriarchy, with so much, like, let's say, bad karma, still it must have a divine planning behind it, and it must serve a higher purpose. And that higher purpose is always more light and more love, more understanding, and more glory and triumph. So thank you very much. See you at a later stage. Peace.